Hello, everyone. Welcome to another fantastic Ekahau webinar. My usual pre-webinar banter buddy, Jerry, is not here, and I don't know where he is. So it's all me. I'm all alone. But he should be joining here in a couple minutes, and we will kick off the webinar here at the top of the hour in about 10 minutes. So I decided to just go ahead and let you in, though, so that, if you want to hit me up in the chat, we can talk a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of kind of last minute webinar setup here, and I figured that we could just hang out while you do that. So, oh wait, who is that? Who just joined? Oh, it doesn't seem like it was Jerry. I'm going to see if I can find my buddy Clayton, though. Clayton, are you in here somewhere? Hit me up in the chat if you got thrown into the normal attendees list. Cool. I'm going to keep working on some stuff over here. And so stay tuned, and we'll get this thing kicked off and started here in just a couple minutes. There we go. There's Clayton. Hey, Clayton, how's it going, man? You're probably still getting your audio and stuff sorted out. Hey, thanks for the audio check, Dan. I appreciate it.
Can you hear me, Joel?
I sure can. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Excellent.
Oh, I can't start my video again.
You can't?
Sad face.
Let me make you a co-host. I think I just made you a panelist, and so I've now. So now that you're a co-host, does it work?
Yeah.
Except I don't have any idea where my video window is. I can find it. Hang on.
Jerry did this to me last time. I feel like you guys are trying to tell me something.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. Well, hey, for anybody that's just joined up and is wondering what in the world kind of Ekahau webinar this is, well, if you've ever been to an Ekahau webinar, then you probably know what's going on. But this is our pre-webinar banter, and so this is where we chat about some things, we make fun of each other, we just make sure that our slides are all ready to go, make sure audio is working, things like that. And if you would like to interact with us, you can actually do so through the chat. If you want to chat with us, then feel free to do so. We'll talk back. We will. So, Clayton, I put an Easter egg in here for you. You don't know where it is, but it's here, and I can't wait for you to discover it. And I fully expect you to get vocal about it when you see it. So,
yeah, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for a color commentary. I don't actually know anything about wireless. I just
me either. I just fake it. I'm just running through slides right now, make sure everything's working. Let's see. Oh, hey, UC's in here. UC, hang on, man. let me get you the juice here so that you can. Okay, so now you're a panelist. I just saw UC in the chat there, and now I'm gonna make you a co-host.
Oh, here we go.
And okay, yeah, I know. What have I done?
Sorry about that, man.
No, it's all my fault. I just saw you in the chat and was like, oh no. So we got you fixed up now, though.
Hey, UC.
Hey, Clayton, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Yeah.
It's been
So,
almost a week.
Is that the top of Mario's hat that I see there?
You're a sharp man, aren't you?
That is.
And it is a medium-grade hotel room that you see in the background. So
Perfect.
greetings from Mobile World Congress, Barcelona.
How was it? How are you tired after 3 days of booth work?
So since you asked, I was pretty tired, took a shower and putting on my favorite socks. So if anybody ever wonders why the Sidekick box has "I will never design bad Wi-Fi," because of this.
That is awesome. I definitely saw the reference. I hope the people in the chat have seen the box for the Sidekick. It says I will not design bad Wi-Fi over and over and over again. Speaking of which, I'm going to go off camera for a second here and off mic. I got to grab my Sidekick. It's actually in the closet, so maybe I'll bring the box down too.
Or you're grabbing Jerry or your actual Sidekick.
Apparently Jerry's on a phone call or something, so we don't have Jerry in here yet. Which no big deal. He's just my co-presenter, and it starts in 4 minutes. No big deal. We'll figure it out. So,
okay, style.
In the chat, Brett Alger says that Mitch and I want a shout out. Okay, hey Brett and Mitch, shout out from Joel. I hope that I'll be right back.
Hey guys.
So when I first got my Sidekick, when I started at Ekahau, I got my Sidekick secondhand, so I didn't get the box. And then after UC gave away my Sidekick last week, I finally got one that came with the box. And so I was able to unbox the Sidekick for the first time.
So it turned out good then, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Well, because the box says I will never design bad Wi-Fi, but the instructions, they say I will always read the instructions first. And I think that's just a nice little example of how we roll over here at Ekahau.
Exactly, and did you see the instruction manual? How it's there's a picture of a guy swimming with the Sidekick, and then in the water.
Yes, the things not to do with the Sidekick.
Yeah, but what not to do, and then there's this did you notice there's a submarine, or there's like a periscope of a submarine where the guy swims with the Sidekick? You may have noticed that, but did you know that it is Air Magnets ex-director's eye that's in there? It's Dilip Advani's eye in that periscope. So if you compare Dilip Advani's, for example, LinkedIn picture with the eye in the periscope, it is Dilip. So lots of love, Dilip Advani. He's not at Air Magnet anymore, but just thought I'd give a shout out.
Well, now I got to go do some research.
And
Gerbile.
Is Gerbile here? I don't see him.
He's on the list.
Oh yeah, he's there. Okay, he's coming in. So I have here the coveted box from the Sidekick box, and just so that if you don't know what the reference was from UC earlier, I will never design bad Wi-Fi over and over and over again inside the packaging. So this packaging was put together with a lot of love. I think the guys thought really hard about this. I love the I will always read the safety instructions here too.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I love that. Really thoughtfully done packaging. I enjoyed that a lot. So Clayton actually got to unbox at WLPC. I got to unbox like 30 Sidekicks.
Oh, that's right. For your deep dive.
It was that's right, Timothy. You know, we do take pride in our work here. I mean, everything, like down to the box and stuff. I mean, that means a lot to me. Like, what's it like to take it out of the box? And yeah, I got to thoroughly test that at WLPC. So I got to unbox a whole bunch of Sidekicks to use for a spectrum analysis class that Trent Cutler and I, Trent taught it. I just stood in the back mostly. But got to unbox a bunch of Sidekicks, and that was fun. So how was
you all were at we all actually all four of us were at WLPC. How was it for you guys?
You were there. You know that it's awesome, right? But for anybody that doesn't know, WLPC is the Wireless LAN Professionals Conference. That's a conference put together by Keith Parsons. Keith is like one of my Wi-Fi heroes. Yeah. UC's doing like hearts and kissy faces and stuff. We absolutely love Keith. He leads our ECSE program. So yeah, he puts together this conference. It's like 300 of the brightest minds in Wi-Fi, and you show up at this hotel in Phoenix, and you're just like have 300 friends instantly. So Clayton, this was your first WLPC. What did you think of it?
Yeah, it was just, I mean, it's just amazing to be in a room just full of the brightest minds in wireless talking about, I try to talk to my friends and family about these things, and their eyes just kind of glaze over, and I'm like, yeah, there's information that's all around us in the air. And, we've got all kinds of different packets and vulnerabilities and all this sort of thing. And they're just like, yeah, whatever. Like, can I go on Facebook now? Right. And all of these individuals know why it works and are trying to make it better. And that's the amazing part about it.
Yeah, they're people that you can gather around a whiteboard with and get into the specifics of, well, do more spatial streams look different on a packet analyzer? You can, or on a spectrum analyzer rather, you can gather around a whiteboard with a bunch of these people and they actually care and they know what you're talking about, and you can have conversations with. It's fantastic. It's so much fun. And so if you haven't been to WLPC, I highly recommend it. So now what I'd like to do is I'd like to hand the floor over to Jerry Ola Gerbile, or Jerry Gerbile Ola. Jerry, are you there? Are you on?
I should probably get my video on. Yeah, I am here. I'm a little bit tardy to the pre-webinar banter, and I see we're already at the top of the hour here. So I suppose we should probably kick this thing off, eh?
Yeah, we probably should. And maybe we should do some quick introductions so that everybody knows who exactly we have on the line. So my name's Joel. I'm the technical trainer here at Ekahau. I kind of look like that. Jerry looks almost exactly like this. I guess you have video, so you know what he looks like. But Jerry is our product manager here at Ekahau. There's a couple more people that we don't have cool pictures of, so I'm just gonna have to draw them in here really quick. So let me just do that. This is that looks exactly like Clayton, doesn't it? So this is Clayton Matthews.
It's true.
This is off to a good start, isn't it?
Yeah. And I would, instead of, well, actually Clayton's got hair, and if you want to imagine what UC looks like, it's the same thing, just no hair. So, so that's what he looks like. But anyway, Clayton is our sales engineer for North America. He's out of Dallas, and then of course we also have UC Kiviniemi, who is, you're in Barcelona right now, right? Just after Mobile World Congress.
Correct. The Mobile World Congress ended literally like an hour ago, and yeah, I'm Jussi. I'm Jerry's, Joel's, and Clayton's assistant.
Right.
Did you get a promotion, UC? I thought you were the janitor.
Well, it's kind of the same thing, right? If you look at it, I bring you guys coffee, wash your, clean your shoes, that kind of stuff.
More like we make a bunch of messes and you have to clean it up. Is that what I'm?
May have been recently. I think it's coming from this direction. So I actually let's put it this way. So I make this many messes, and then I try to clean up at least like half of it. Thanks, Joel.
Sure thing. Well, so let's go ahead and kick things off here. So first thing I'd like to do is just a little bit of housekeeping. So right now, obviously, all of your mics are muted. All of our mics are on, for better or for worse. Probably for worse, really. But if you want to interact with us, though, you still can. There's two ways that you can do that. First off is you can use the chat tool in Zoom. And so if you find the chat tool there, if you change it to all panelists and all attendees, that will make sure that everybody can hear you in the chat. Feel free. Some people are already poking fun at us here in the chat. Please do that. We enjoy that a lot. So go ahead and use the chat to interact with us. We will keep an eye on that. We will interact when we can. If I'm not talking, I'll get in there and chat, and so on and so forth. Jim, we specifically have you muted. We're going to keep you muted on purpose, Jim. So sorry about that, buddy. Although maybe we ought to bring Jim on for a future webinar. We should do that. Yeah, UC says yes. So another way you can interact with us, and this is a good, really organized way to do this, is to use the Q&A tool. So in Zoom, there's a Q&A button there, and you can put your questions in there. And what's great about that is not only can you put in questions, but you can upvote other people's questions. Jerry, I don't know if we have that turned on. Do we have it turned on?
Just turned it on. So yeah, if somebody wants to test it out real quick, go ahead and pop a question in there and see if you guys got the upvote options. But yeah, if you should be able to upvote those questions. So keep an eye on that Q&A panel throughout. And if you got the same question, hit the little thumbs up. That way it bubbles up to the top of the list. Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for all the upvotes, guys. Looks like that's working. So appreciate that. Yeah, we'll make sure we keep an eye on that. And yeah, make sure to upvote those questions.
Perfect. Yep. And also I saw one question came in about whether we're recording this or not. Yep, we are recording this, and our awesome marketing team will have this posted on our website within 24 hours. So there will be, a recording available, which I think is kind of a bad thing sometimes. But to take all of this and set it in stone on the internet, that's very scary. But we do that. So cool. Jerry, did I miss anything from a housekeeping standpoint, or is that pretty much everything?
Probably, but good enough.
Okay, cool. Do you want to go over the agenda and what we're going to talk about?
Yeah, let's do that. So today's webinar has really nothing to do with 802.11ax. We just thought that would be a good way to get more people to register and show up and listen to us. So yeah, we're just gonna pretty much chat about try and sell you on stuff, brainwash you into why you should buy Ekahau and a Sidekick, that kind of stuff. No.
I knew it.
So yeah, you can just drop off now if you want to avoid all that. But no, we are actually going to talk about 802.11ax. It's not a trick to get you to sign up. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for jumping on. We're going to talk about understanding 802.11ax, some comparison type stuff with 802.11ax. We're going to talk about how to utilize the Ekahau Sidekick to do 802.11ax surveys. And hopefully even do some demoing of that. What can go wrong?
Jerry,
yeah, exactly.
Did you get the project file?
I did. It's awesome. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I appreciate that.
All right.
Cool.
I will be showing that.
Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. And I think, Jerry, we've got a little game assembled, don't we? We're going to play a little with audience participation, I believe, is the plan.
It's not going to be as great as the Who Wants to Be a Wi-Fi engineer, but we're going to kind of play that up a little bit. Use some.
He's face palming.
Those of you that were at WLPC, or even if you're on Twitter, you probably saw some of the action there. But yeah, UC did an awesome job with some polls, so we decided to continue that into the webinar here and use some polls in this one. So let's see here. I'm going to bring up the first poll here. So Joel, if you want to go to the next slide.
Absolutely.
Our first kind of fact or fiction, who wants to play, right? So pull up, locate the polling button there, and we're going to put some polls up, and those should be displayed for you shortly here. But yeah, I'm going to launch the first poll, which is going to be 802.11ax, Wi-Fi 6, in other words. Is that going to make everything faster? True or false?
It's really fun to watch these coming in real time.
Yeah.
70, 80, 90, 100, 150 votes coming in.
Interesting.
It makes you realize how many people are watching, and it's kind of terrifying.
Wow, the results are looking pretty interesting. We'll give everybody just a couple more seconds here, and then we'll close this and show you the results. All right, I think we got to...
Let's give a little more time. 65% of you have voted. So, yeah, let's let that drop off a little bit. By the way, regarding hats, UC says to find us at events. That's where you get hats. Come find us at the WLPC. Come find us at anywhere that we're at. Come find us, and we'll get you a hat for sure.
While we're finishing the first poll here, I did see a question come in from Roma's Sidekick lead times. Those should be addressed now. Sidekick lead times should be pretty much near zero. If you're hearing otherwise, that is news to me. We actually did catch up on the backlog. Did take quite some time, but yeah, you should be seeing as soon as the orders are submitted, those going out usually pretty quickly within days of the order being processed.
Yeah, Aaron says that he got his in less than a week. So yeah, should be getting those pretty quick. Well, cool. Looks like we've slowed down on votes now. So let's what do we do now, Jerry? Are we going to show the results, or what's the?
Yep. Try this out. Sharing the results. Look at that. I don't know how we ended up with 51% to 50. Oh, I guess because it was one more on the true side. So look at how close that was. So 50%, 50-50 here, basically think Wi-Fi 6 is going to make everything faster. Pretty interesting there. All right, cool.
Well, since one more person said yes, I guess that's true, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if I want to trust these answers. I was watching them, and true would increment and then false would increment. So I think we have some panelists that just wanted even numbers.
Oh, cool. Jerry, do we want to talk about this now, or are we going to hold off? Are we going to do the next ones? And
Yeah, let's go through each of the factor fictions first, and then we'll address them.
okay.
Hey guys, 50 to 51%.
Yeah, 51% said true. It's going to make things faster. 50% said false. It's not going to make things faster.
Out of 101%. Well,
Yes,
that makes
exactly.
perfect sense.
Yeah, it's science, you see.
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh, and by the way, 309 of you voted. So that's what we got was 309 votes on
Okay,
that.
so there's 300 persons in the webinar plus an extra 1%, which represents.
The 1%.
Just
Yeah.
wondering the
I see what you-
101%.
I
and
I see
the
what
think
you're.
remainder-
I think the
That's what we're trying to do.
101% just shows how Wi-Fi 6 is going to make things faster. We're going to push things beyond 100%.
There you go.
The 1% is marketing.
All right. What's our next factor fiction?
Our next factor fiction is 802.11ax/Wi-Fi 6 is also called high efficiency wireless HEW. Fact or fiction, true or false? And here they come. The numbers are coming in rapidly.
This one's looking a little more of what I would expect to see.
Yeah, it's a little more balanced.
Where's
Yep.
our Dwight Schrute fact?
Oh, I forgot to put that in there. I was going to put a picture of Dwight Schrute in here and go, fact. 802.11ax is also called, yeah. Oops. I guess we had like real work to do or something like that, so we didn't.
I think we've got our answer here, so I'm going to go ahead and share this result. 74% say true, and that is correct. Fact.
Fact. It is called high efficiency wireless. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on, kind of where the industry came from and where we're going. Yeah, we'll discuss that a little bit coming up here. So let's move on to the next one. And Jason says fact. Bears don't use Wi-Fi. Jason, you're absolutely correct. Fact or fiction? There are no 802.11ax Wi-Fi 6 clients that exist today. Fact or fiction?
Ooh, this one's going to be interesting.
Watching the
Might
polls
have-
come in.
UC coming from Mobile World Conference might have something to say about this one.
Yeah, he might have some knowledge to give on this. So, hey, don't put it in the chat, Anders. Shh, don't ruin it.
Hey,
Anders
hey,
trying to
come on now.
ruin things. Anders always causing trouble. That guy. Juho says this is like the Mythbusters of Wi-Fi. Yep, exactly. Maybe we'll have to do a Mythbusters theme at some point for more than just AX. Okay, so and the results are. Did you share those, Jerry?
Yep. Results shared.
There are no 802.11ax clients that exist today. 35% of you said true. 66% of you said false. UC Kiviniemi, who just came from Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain. Can you tell us the correct answer to this question?
There indeed are 802.11ax clients.
do exist.
Such as the Samsung Galaxy S10. And I'm not sure about the Fold. I'd like to spend just 1 minute. Let's talk about Fold. Galaxy Fold. 10-minute pitch. What do you guys think?
Sure. Yeah, I'm down with whatever.
Sorry about that. Nobody said anything. Okay. Let's forget about Galaxy Fold. I think I'm not going to say it. But yes, these things exist. Galaxy Fold, awesome direction for the industry.
Oh, hang on. Did you not hear me, UC? I say, what do you hear about the Fold? What's the deal?
So Samsung announced Galaxy Fold, right?
Okay.
It's a phone with a foldable display. So essentially, it's a normal phone until it opens up and becomes a tablet-sized thingy. So it's like a really large phone, but then it becomes tablet-sized like this. And Huawei also has their own variant of that. So what that is saying is the foldable displays have now came to the market, where we could probably expect Apple to come with one as well, if not this year, then next year I would expect. And it's just kind of cool that you have double the real estate in a phone all of a sudden. So what's this going to do to tablets?
It's probably going to get rid of tablets because I mean, if I could take this and turn it into a tablet by just opening it up, right? Is that what you're kind of where you're going?
Yeah. I mean, what's the reason to like buy a tablet anymore after that? Sure, if you take notes or are an artist, stuff like that. But if you have a like tablet-sized screen. However, the important thing to note is I went to see these devices, and there is a small like think of you take like a piece of transparent plastic and then bend it a little bit, it leaves this kind of mark into the plastic. So be aware that they don't show this in the marketing videos, but there is a small, it's not like even 1 pixel wide, but it looks like cracked plastic a little bit. Like you can see if you move your head, you can see that the picture or the display isn't perfect from the middle. It is when you bend it, it
There's
leaves
a crease there.
Yeah, that's exactly the word, I guess. I have never heard it before, but yeah.
Question for you, UC. The what was the Galaxy Fold? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know what it has as far as a Wi-Fi chipset? Does it have an 802.11? Does it have an 802.11ax chipset on board, or is it still 802.11ac?
That's what I was wondering. Like the only reason I can think of why they would have still an AC chipset is saving the space, because it's $2,000 phone, so it certainly isn't. They don't need to save on the bill of materials. But if somebody on the chat knows what the Fold has for Wi-Fi chipset.
Andre says ABGN ACAX Samsung Galaxy. Okay, so that's the S10. Andre, what we're wondering about is the Fold.
Galaxy Fold.
Yeah. So if anybody knows, let us know. Throw it in the chat. So
only reason would be saving the space. If the display and all that stuff takes so much space. But
yeah,
I'll put my money on yes, AX. What do you guys think?
I think I mean, it doesn't really make if they've already got an AX chipset that they're rolling out in a device immediately, it doesn't really make sense to leave it, especially considering I think somebody said the Fold is $2,000. If it's that much of a premium device, then yeah. Okay, so here we go. Yep. According to Gary, yes, it has 802.11ax. So there we go. There are now 2 clients on the market that support 802.11ax. So sorry, the 202 of you that answered false. Although to be fair, this was like literally yesterday, the day before yesterday, this was announced. So, it's not that big of a deal. So Jerry, should we move on to,
we got one more question to,
one more
with.
All right. So fact or fiction, an 802.11ax or Wi-Fi 6 radio is needed to survey 802.11ax networks. True or false? Oh, this is fascinating.
Threw the curveball one in there.
Yep. And this is where the Ekahau marketing material comes in, and then we just turn it into a big, marketing presentation. That's the plan, right? I think that's what we're doing.
You see.
I didn't see what you see did.
That was my marketing dance.
Yeah. We need the
Is that enough marketing?
That's beautiful.
You want more?
Nope, that was perfect.
And ladies and gentlemen, this is unfortunately, this is typically what happens on an Ekahau webinar. All right, so things are slowing down a little bit, Jerry. So should we close that poll out?
I'm going to give everybody 5 more seconds, and then we're closing the polls. Get your votes in now. Make your decision. All right, here we go. Poll ending. Sharing results.
All right, so
look at that.
43% of you said that you need an 802.11ax radio to survey AX networks, and 58% of you said it was false. So, and Jacob says, look, it's 101% again. Nice. It's Zoom's fault.
Blame Zoom.
Blame the vendor. Always blame the vendor. So
we go the extra mile here at Ekahau, folks.
Yeah, that's right.
The extra 1%.
Yeah. Cool. So, we're gonna. I think we'll address all of those questions one by one here. We'll go through and talk about whether those are all true or false. But before we do that, I kind of want to take a couple minutes and talk about where did 802.11ax come from. I just kind of want to quickly walk you through kind of the history of where it came from. In our movement towards better Wi-Fi. So, a lot of you know that Wi-Fi started out back in 97. In 1999, both 802.11b and 802.11a were introduced. B was down in 2.4. A was up in the 5 gigahertz band. And then 802.11g kind of brought all the really cool stuff about 802.11a, the stuff that made it fast. 54 megabits per second back then was pretty fast, and brought it down into 2.4 where we could use it. Then we kind of get into what I like to think of as the modern age of Wi-Fi. This is where I start to think of modern Wi-Fi. And that's with the release of 802.11n in 2009. 802.11n worked in both frequency bands, both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. It could work in one or the other. And this was kind of the point of 802.11n, was to be a high throughput standard, was to get more speed, right? I'm sure a lot of you remember the promises for like gigabit Wi-Fi and things like that. No, it didn't happen, but we did see some very good speed increases, and it kind of brought all of these disparate standards all together under one umbrella, which was 802.11n. Then the next step in late 2013, I think it was ratified in December of 2013, was 802.11ac, which was here to focus on very high throughput. So how can we push the bounds of per client device throughput even more? The problem with 802.11ac, and not that 802.11ac is bad, it's a very good thing, lots of great things in that standard that I appreciate very much, but the problem with 802.11ac is it was all about per client throughput. It was all about getting high speed to a specific client. But as you all know, Wi-Fi, you've heard this before, Wi-Fi is just getting more and more and more and more popular. It's not showing any signs of showing down, or slowing down rather. And so now what we're starting to run into is, we're not talking about one access point and one client device. We're talking about one access point and 60, 80, 100 clients. I don't know where that realistic ceiling is, but we're talking about tons of client devices all connected to an AP. Instead of focusing on per client speed, we need to start focusing on efficiency in the coverage cell. We need to make things more efficient as we're trying to talk to all those clients. And that's where 802.11ax comes in. Jerry, do you guys have any comments or anything? I just talked for a really long time. So
You got it.
all right.
I think
Perfect. Oh, I got it. Great. So as we're talking about, whether or not you can survey an 802.11ax network with, do you have to have an AX adapter to survey an AX network? Well, I want you to think about backwards compatibility here for a minute. The IEEE is obsessed with backwards compatibility. They ensure that every new standard they release is fully backwards compatible. In fact, I would love to test this. I do not have the capability to test this, but I'd love to do it. I would love to take the Galaxy S10 and I'd like to find an old 802.11 Prime AP and see if it'll associate to that. I think that would be the coolest test. Am I the only one that thinks that would be cool to try that and see if it works? Jerry, you don't look like you're convinced.
I just, we just have different focuses of, excited things to get excited about with Wi-Fi, I guess.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm psyched. That would be awesome. You told me that
John's not the only one. Marta says, not that cool. Jacob says, please don't. But there are a few people that do. And so, my man Jim and Dan and all those people out there, Eric, if you guys see an 802.11 Prime access point, let's make this happen. So, but the point that I'm trying to make here is that this is all backwards compatible. In theoretically, you should be able to take an 802.11ax client and even associate it to an 802.11b or 802.11g access point, and it should work. It technically should transfer data. And so when we're thinking about surveying, I want you guys to think about minimum data rates that are supported by various networks. 802.11, the minimum data rate is 1 megabit per second. So if we want to maintain backwards compatibility, when we deploy an 802.11ax network, what minimum data rate do we have to support? We have to support something that, old 802.11 clients can understand, and thus that's going to be 1 megabit per second. That is going to be our minimum data rate. Now, up in the 5 gigahertz band, the minimum data rate that we'll see there with 802.11a was 6 megabits per second. So that is the minimum data rate that we have to support, and that's where we have to broadcast a lot of our information, like management overhead, things like that. Jerry, Clayton, UC, do you guys have any comments? I feel like I've just been monologuing here. I want to make sure you guys get a chance to talk.
You got it. No, I think we can. I think this is good setting the stage for us to why this stuff works, right?
And yep, and that's exactly what I'm trying to do here. So last slide for setting the stage here is when we do a site survey, what do we do? Well, Well, first off, we are going. Oh, sorry. There's some bacon there.
There's the beacon frame. The beacon frame. Look, I screwed up my own joke.
Clayton found a typo in a study guide the other day where they said bacons instead of beacons, and so we couldn't resist. So there you go, Clayton. That was just for you. So. Let's talk about what beacons are for just a second here, and that's going to help us understand how we perform a site survey. Whenever basically the way that access points announce that they exist is by broadcasting beacons. For example, I have a little Linksys WRT 54G sitting over here in the corner, and it's currently just broadcasting it's set to 802.11b only right now, and it is basically sitting there going, "Hey, I'm 802. My name is 802.11b. I'm here. I support this type of encryption. I support these data rates. I'm here." And it just does that over and over and over again. Similarly, Joel's network is sitting there going, all the APs that are part of Joel's network are saying, "Hey, I'm Joel's network. I'm here. I support these data rates. I support this type of encryption. You can connect to me." And they do that about 10 times a second. Once every 102.4 milliseconds, about 10 times a second, they transmit that. In fact, if you do a packet capture like I did here, you can see all those beacons coming out across the air. So there's a beacon from Joel's network, there's a beacon from Joel's enterprise network, and so on and so forth. They are announcing that they exist. These are always transmitted at the minimum basic rate. They are always transmitted at the minimum supported data rate. And in this case, this is in the 5 gigahertz band. What data rate do we see here? 6 megabits per second. So Jerry, I have a question for you. In order to maintain backwards compatibility, is 802.11ax going to be any different about this?
Nope. No, it'll still be able to be backwards compatible with any of those frames. So it'll be able to detect and decode any of those.
Yeah. So the reality is that if you take an 802.11ac adapter, you will be able to hear beacons from 802.11ax access points. Now, another question for you, Jerry. When we're performing a site survey, what type of frame do we gather from the air with a site survey? Whether it's a Sidekick or a USB survey adapter or whatever. Probably focusing on the Sidekick here. What are we looking for in the air while we're doing a survey? What are we grabbing out of the air to perform that survey?
So there's 2 frames that we're looking for specifically. One, the bacons or beacons.
Oh, yeah,
and,
right.
The beacon frames, and then
Can we call them
the probe
bacon bits, maybe?
So beacons and probe responses are the 2 things that we care about, which basically are nearly identical, right? So that's why we can use either one of those frames, because they both contain the same information elements that we can pull in all the information about the radio that we need.
Yeah. So when we're looking at that, kind of just working backwards through all these questions, last one we talked about, do you need an 802.11ax radio to survey 802.11ax networks? What ultimately, based on this, what is the answer?
I think we have our answer, right?
Yeah, I think no, you do not need an AX adapter to survey these. If you have an AC adapter, if you've got an AC Wi-Fi adapter, like what the Sidekick has on board, then yeah, you're pretty much good to go. So
now, on that note, there's 2 components, right? There's a hardware component, which we just talked about. We talked about the hardware piece of that. The hardware needs to be able to receive those frames and be able to decode those, but the software is actually what's reading that information and displaying it. So there's a hardware piece of it and a software piece of it. The hardware is what we're talking about so far, is what is the hardware able to receive and decode.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know if you guys are going to go there, but we should probably do the comparison with NIC 300, being a 10-year-old adapter and still being used to, an in adapter that's still being used extensively as a good solution for surveying AC networks, although it's in one of the first in adapters. So that's a kind of a comparison here. And I'm
this is. Yeah. I was just going to say it's a good point. This is not anything new, right? We dealt with the same issue when we went from 802.11n to AC, and all we had were 802.11n survey adapters, and we had 802.11n survey adapters many years after 802.11ac was a thing, right? Was ratified, it was deployed. We had 802.11ac devices, but we were still using 802.11n survey adapters because honestly, there was no reason to upgrade to 802.11ac survey adapters. They provided no additional benefit, and would have been more expensive, and they would have had, more driver issues, things like that. So we stuck with what worked and what was optimized for those surveying. So yeah, that's what we look at is, what's going to provide additional benefits from a hardware standpoint.
Yeah, I mean this is kind of getting off the chain, but what if this is a what if? This obviously has 802.11 AC adapters, but what if we put 802.11n adapters in the Sidekick? We didn't. It's 802.11 AC. Would we be able to survey with the Sidekick if it had 802.11n adapters? You see, what's the answer? You know the answer.
My answer is without. It's an assumption, yes. Because similarly, we just pick up we just pick up the probes, we pick up the beacons, and we read the information elements, and then we decode everything from there. So I would say yes, even with N adapters, we likely could decode or like do AX site surveys.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The biggest thing to factor into it is, what channels and frequencies does it support? And that is one of the limitations on the N adapters, and especially, going even back further, 802.11a, is there's been channels and frequencies that have been added to the spectrum that we use today that weren't available when those adapters were made. So for example, some N adapters don't support things like channel 144 that we have in the US regulatory domain today that didn't exist, years ago. So there is certain things that can become a limitation, but the good thing is, as Joel, if you want to move forward in the slides here, the good thing is that being that 802.11ax is completely backwards compatible with those previous generation technologies, they work in the same frequency space. It's both in 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, which 802.11n and AC was. So that means as we have an 802.11 AC radio or 802.11n radio, they'll be able to survey those newer technologies as well due to the backwards compatibility.
Hey guys, there was a question on the chat. You're going to come to, like, for example, throughput surveys and active surveys on AX versus AC and all that, or should we talk about that briefly?
Yeah, let's talk about that. So the throughput side in Ekahau is not done using the measurement device, right? So your throughput surveys or your active survey, you always want to do using an actual client. You don't want to use some, specialized survey device that's not the reality of what your real world client is going to be. That device is designed to do survey measurements. So for active testing and throughput testing, we're going to want to use something that's more mimics an actual client. So either the internal adapter on your survey device or maybe some type of external USB device that has the same PHY type and characteristics, number of spatial streams, transmit power, those kind of things of what the device is that you're trying to verify. And you can absolutely do that today in Ekahau. We support any active survey adapter that your operating system supports. So you can use anything that you picked up off Amazon, Walmart, Best Buy. You can plug that in, and as long as your operating system supports it, Ekahau will support it as well for that active survey testing. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, there's no 802.11ax clients, that you could plug into your laptop today, but I'm sure that'll be changing in the near future, and that's what you would use as your active survey adapter for doing that throughput testing.
So just to summarize, so we are fully 802.11ax passive survey compliant today, not today, but at the launch of the next release of the Ekahau software. And assuming you have an 802.11ax either a laptop or a dongle, you can also do the active testing, throughput testing, stuff like that. So we're good already with the existing Sidekick hardware. That's fully 802.11ax site survey compliant. And then you just need to wait for those dongles and or laptops to arrive so that you can do 802.11ax passive testing. I just want to drive this point home a couple of times to make sure I understand it.
Yep.
Not much going on here, man.
Yeah, also keeping in mind that the Sidekick it's a passive receive only device. So as to Jerry's point, you'll only want to test, throughput with a device that you can associate. So either your client or another USB adapter card. Then the Sidekick you can use to go and survey AX because of the way that we pick up the beacons and the probes. And then you have your client adapter to go and do your throughput test, so to see the true impact of AX on the environment.
Yeah, it's basically a team. You've got one device, Sidekick, to do your passive surveying, and then you have your client device, whatever that is, to do your active surveying. Now, since we promised we were going to talk about 802.11ax a little bit, at least a little bit in this webinar, since it has 802.11ax in the title, just a couple of key points that we can cover. I don't know, Jerry, what do you think of the claim of a potential 4 times the more throughput in high density scenarios? What do you think of that? I mean, I like that this says high density here, because I think that's kind of like a nice little asterisk there that says, like, it's not like it's going to be 4 times faster. It's like, no, it's going to be more efficient.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, like we looked at before, the 802.11n and AC were all about high throughput and very high throughput. That's not the focus of AX, right? AX is all about efficiency and maximizing the channels that we have available today, and potentially more channels that we'll have down the road. But yeah, it's all about maximizing the, more for density, right? To be able to increase density and be able to make more efficient use of the channels and the spectrum.
Yeah, one component of that too is 802.11ax is introducing a new operation called OFDMA, which stands for, get ready for this, orthogonal frequency division multiple access is what that stands for. You be sure to remember that. That's going to be on the test later on, everybody. OFDM is going to basically allow multiple devices to either transmit or receive on the same channel at the same time, which is something we've never had in Wi-Fi before. Typically, or traditionally in Wi-Fi, one thing talks on a channel at a time. If you ever heard me talk about Wi-Fi ever, I always bring that up. It's half duplex. One thing gets to talk on a channel at a time. But with OFDMA, we're basically borrowing something from the cellular world and allowing us to split up a channel into multiple little resource units. And we can say, okay, this client, you get a transmit, or this part of the spectrum is for this client to receive this transmission. This part of the spectrum is for this client to receive this transmission. And so an AP can transmit to multiple clients at the same time. And I don't know about the uplink stuff. Jerry, have you heard whether that's going to make it into the standard? I thought there was some concern about the uplink, multiple clients transmitting up to an AP at the same time. Any idea if that's made it in?
I thought that was going to be a phase 2 thing, but yeah, I think that is something that they're looking at implementing. I don't think we're going to have that available immediately, and there's a lot of ifs, involved in that to making just the whole multi-user operation thing work. But yeah, I believe it'll be, somebody certainly correct me if I'm wrong in this, but I thought last I heard is that was bumped to kind of phase 2 of 802.11ax, and it will, yeah, there you go. Yes, AX Wave 2 is what Nathan said there. So,
yep, and Rodolfo as well says, yep.
Thanks, guys.
Great. Cool. Let's move on here. So next, let's talk about just kind of some of the key differences. There's a little point that I want to touch on here that somebody brought up in the chat that I think would be really good to talk about. 802.11ac, our highest modulation scheme with this was 256 QAM, right? Now, I wish we had time to get into the benefits of, or of QAM and exactly how QAM works. Nathan, you've been in a classroom with me when I've explained that before, and I have a lot of fun with that. Basically, with 802.11ax, we're going to add a lot more dots to the target that we have to hit, and that allows us to move more data at the same time. But those dots that we have to hit, if you're shooting a bow and arrow at a target, those dots, there's way more of them, and now they're packed in a lot closer. And so a point that, who brought it up a minute ago in the chat? Kevin said, are we going to have a greater signal to noise ratio requirement for 1024 QAM to work? Yes, absolutely. I would say that 1024 QAM is only going to work when we're very, very close to an AP, just like 256 QAM only works when we're very, very close to an AP. So I would not expect to see, amazing data rates, more than 30, 50, 60 feet away from an AP. And that is absolute tops. Jerry, is there anything else you want to discuss here before we kind of move on to demo and stuff?
Yeah, we should get moving in here, but the other thing I would touch on is just the subcarrier spacing. I think is interesting, and I'll kind of point that out a bit more when we're in the live demo piece of it, of how the Sidekick is able to even see that. So yeah, on the subcarrier spacing, that's one of the other big changes on 802.11ax from previous generations. Is in previous generations it was at 312 kilohertz, and now it's at 78 kilohertz. So much tighter spacing on that. So that's an interesting note, just because of we're looking at things like spectrum analysis and spectrum analysis resolution. being able to see that subcarrier level detail, I think, is going to become more and more critical as we're able to analyze that.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I'm really looking forward to seeing on the spectrum analyzer on the Sidekick is, right now, if you look at an 802.11 AC transmission, assuming maybe we're looking at like a 40 megahertz channel or something like that, maybe we'll add a little dip right there. That's basically what we're going to see right now. You see just this one block of activity here. That is our 40 megahertz channel, and then all those subcarriers are all in there. It's pretty cool. You can see those on the Sidekick. The first time I saw spectrum analysis on the Sidekick and I can actually see all those subcarriers, that was a magical moment. That was pretty cool to see. But I think what we might have potential to see now is that if we're splitting up our channels into separate resource units, I'm looking forward to this. Somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that on a spectrum analyzer, now we'll see, okay, these subcarriers here are for a client, these subcarriers here are for a client, and so on and so forth. We might get to see some really, really interesting things, just because of how much more complex that transmission is going to be. It literally should look more complex.
Jim says 100% correct, so I will certainly say that you must have got it correct if Jim says you're right.
If Jim says I'm right, then I'm right. Jim is the ultimate authority, and especially when it comes to spectrum analysis. He is.
I believe someone in the back has their hand up.
Oh, is that UC?
UC, your hand raised.
Yeah, go ahead, UC. Again.
Hey guys, just wanted to thank you for the awesome webinar, and thank you all the attendees for coming. My boss, Ookla CEO, an awesome guy, just messaged, and he wants to have dinner. So how do you say no to that?
Yeah. Well, hey, when you're there, can you tell him that on the webinar that Joel was wearing his Ookla shirt?
Oh, hold on. Let me take a picture of that.
You want to get a picture of my Ookla shirt? Yeah, I'll pose for you.
Oh, hold on. There we go.
All right. Perfect.
Thank you. So okay, yeah, gotta go, guys.
Hey,
thank
thanks,
you so
UC.
much for letting me on. Cheers.
Thanks, UC.
Have a
We'll
good
see
night,
you.
everybody.
Right. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
So Joel, the point you just made leads to a question I kind of saw come through earlier around, can the Sidekick look at AX client activity? And the thing to remember is that it's just raw energy.
From
right?
a spectrum analysis standpoint, the answer is absolutely yes, because a spectrum analyzer doesn't care. It just hears noise and shows you the noise. And it's way more sophisticated than that, but that's kind of the simplest way to explain it. So will you be able to see 802.11ax activity on the spectrum analyzer? Yes, absolutely. And I can't wait. It should be extremely interesting.
Let's save that for the demo. We should be able to at least, I won't be able to show specifically AX, obviously, but I can at least show that subcarrier level detail, hopefully in the demo. So yeah, what else do we have in the slide deck so we can get into the demos?
We got like some marketing materials here, I think we've talked about this stuff kind of at length, but, you guys all know that Jerry and Clayton and I are massive, massive fans of the Sidekick. Just kind of from a technical perspective, if you guys are curious about what is on board this thing, it's got two Qualcomm QCA 9558s, which are really good enterprise grade Wi-Fi radios. Those are both 3x3 802.11 AC radios. I think we covered thoroughly that this is 100% capable of serving 802.11ax. We thought of that ahead of time, and we're getting the software kind of caught up is probably the wrong way to put that, but the software will soon be there to follow with the Sidekick, but the Sidekick is future ready from that standpoint. It's ready to survey 802.11ac or 802.11ax stuff rather today. It's ready to go right now. Maybe just a couple of other points before I hand things over to Jerry, is that we love the Sidekick for its speed and accuracy. Since it's got those two radios on board, we can kind of split up the channel load between two sets of channels, and we can get more data points. We talked about the spectrum analyzer. I think Jerry's going to show it to you how fast it is. Ultimately, this is the fastest. This is the most precise way to do site surveys and troubleshooting. And I just love that it's a wearable. It's very, very easy. I put it on my hip. I basically forget about it when I'm doing site surveys. There's a slide in here about software, Jerry. Do you want me to hold off on that, or do you want to show it now?
You can go ahead and show it now, and then we'll get into the demos of it.
Okay. Product manager says I can show it. Do you want to talk about it?
That's right. Yeah, so we're getting ready to give you guys I'm going to give you a sneak preview of the Echo Pro 10 here that we're getting ready to launch soon. And some of the cool things, related to this webinar that it's going to bring is 802.11ax support. So we talked about, the hardware obviously being able to support and survey 802.11ax networks today. However, there's the software component of decoding those elements and displaying those. So that's the only piece that's missing of the equation today. So the good thing is your hardware investment, you buy the Echo Sidekick today, the software update becomes available in the near future, and now you can survey those 802.11ax networks without any additional investment. But yeah, some of the capabilities, we're adding additional 802.11ax APs for simulation and planning. There's more to come, a lot more to come on the planning side, but at launch of Echo Pro 10, we'll just have some 802.11ax, really all the 802.11ax APs, at least enterprise APs that I'm aware of on the market today, will be available for planning, so you can be able to predict the signal propagation just as you do today, but there'll be more capacity planning and 802.11ax devices and things like that that we'll be able to factor into our capacity planning in the near future as well. But yeah, really the focus today is around survey, right? So what's going to be coming on the survey side? Well, we're going to be updating the AP radio information to include that 802.11ax PHY type. So we'll be able to identify, if this radio is, N, AC, AX, those kinds of things. Also, we'll be updating the RTFM view or real-time frequency monitor to be able to display that same 802.11ax radio information, number of spatial streams, those kind of things. Spectrum analysis, that's not anything actually new. The resolution bandwidth that we display today in Ekahau happens to be 78.125 kilohertz. And yeah, if you remember the slide we talked about previously about subcarrier spacing, that is actually the exact same subcarrier spacing that is used in 802.11ax. So our spectrum analyzer is already all set up, even in Ekahau as it stands today, to be able to get down to that subcarrier level and be able to see those RUs and be able to visualize that on the spectrum and capture that.
And Jim says, yeah, that was an accident, right? I don't think so. I don't think so. Cool. Well, Jerry, is it demo time?
It is. Yeah, let's get into the fun stuff here. So those of you that have made it this far into our bantering here and chatting.
Webinar.
You get the reward of getting a little sneak peek here of what's to come. So let me see if I can get my correct screen shared here. All right, Joel, let me know when you can see this.
Clayton, maybe you be on the lookout. Oh, I got it. Yep, it was hidden behind another window. But it's
all right. Yeah, so I've got the latest and greatest here. This is one of the beta builds here of the Ekahau Pro 10 tool, and this has that 802.11ax support built into it. Actually, UC, being at Mobile World Congress, was able to do some surveying there, and being that there's all the latest and greatest gadgets there, sure enough, if we scroll through the list here, what is this? A new color for PHY type, 802.11ax. And notice it is not just like AC on the 5 gigahertz side, but AX on both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. So yeah, we can, this server using the Sidekick, we're able to capture that information about the radios, see all sorts of cool details about those APs. And if we pull up that real-time frequency monitor.
Oh, hang on a second, Jerry. Jerry, I'm gonna let you finish. But for those of you that are having trouble, that's like how you can't see Jerry's screen share because Jerry's face is big and Ekahau is small. Try clicking on either Jerry's face or on Ekahau, and it should swap those two essentially.
Why does this seem to always happen when I share my screen? I feel like I'm always the...
double click. Brad says you double click.
I thought that was by design.
Yeah.
We all want to see Jerry's giant face, don't we?
Yeah,
that's all I really want you guys to see is my giant face on your...
Yeah, there's an option in Zoom, make Jerry's face huge, and we check that option. Okay, several people have said that works, so yeah, try to double click on everything, and it should fix it.
On everything. Just start double clicking every button in the screen.
Yeah. All right, Jerry. I'm actually going to let you finish now. Go ahead.
All right. So yeah, I pulled up. So this is what I was showing before was in the AP list, how we have some APs on the map here. And actually here, let me, before we dive into the real-time frequency monitor, let's actually pull those APs up on the map here and show that detail on the map as well. So I'll turn the names off and just show the radios and channels here. And if we zoom in, this nice new little teal color here, that's our AX APs. So at Mobile World Congress, AX is kind of everywhere. You can see just this short survey that UC was able to do while he was there. You know, you can see all the AX APs throughout the environment here. So pretty cool to see that, you know, we have like an actual AX deployment. And there's quite a few APs that were picked up running AX. You can see there's also plenty that were AC and N as well. But yeah, quite a few AX APs in the environment running the conference there.
And so I'm just going to take a stab at this, Jerry. I mean, Cisco. We were looking at Cisco right now, right? They don't have any.
Looks like most of these are all Cisco APs.
Do they have any AX APs on the market? I mean, I don't know. I'm just seeing data here and wondering what's going on.
So yeah, this could be something that has not been announced yet. Hopefully,
hopefully we didn't just ruin everything by broadcasting it.
To surprise. I mean, I think the writing's on the wall. I think we're pretty well aware that you know, that kind of stuff is going to be coming. But yeah, we can see here we've got you know, quite a few APs audible. Let's try and isolate one of these here and grab one of these AX access points, for example. Yeah, look at this. Modulation, MCS, we've got a QAM 256 for spatial stream access point here.
Let's try to not spoil Cisco's surprise. So all 468 people's on the webinar, this is our little secret, okay? And we tried this last time and somebody spilled the beans on Twitter. Yeah. So, you know, pinky promise, let's keep Cisco's secret for them.
So I set up a couple of, we'll say, AX access points in my house here. These are live now. So I've got the Sidekick connected. And you can see here, I'm looking at the live environment where I'm at right now. And we're seeing some narrow band, you know, frequency hopping devices hopping around. That would actually look, I think, pretty similar to what we would expect to see with actual 802.11ax traffic between an AX client and an AP. Unfortunately, I'm not able to actually do that because I don't have any AX clients, and my APs aren't real AX APs, but they're sending 802.11ax beacons. But yeah, if we zoom in on this is what I wanted to kind of show, is how we can, with the spectrum analyzer, see that subcarrier level detail. Let me actually pop this window out here. We can even make this a little bit bigger, and we can actually see. I know with Zoom and you know, the screen share here, it doesn't really do this justice, but hopefully at least the detail comes through. But the speed is, you know, one of the other big factors here is just how fast the spectrum analyzer is. But yeah, notice how we can see those 78 kilohertz chunks of the spectrum, you know, as these energy blips are popping up on here, so we can get down to that subcarrier level detail. If we flip over to the 5 gigahertz side, we can see that as well across the entire. So this spectrum analyzer is sweeping both the 2.4 and the entire 5 gigahertz ranges and being able to zoom in at that level of detail on each. So let's look at the radio side here. And again, this is live. I'm just using the Sidekick here. And just to, you know, confirm, we can indeed see these 802.11ax radios. So let's look at, on the 2.4 side, I've got an 802.11ax radio here. You can see this guy right here with the SSID of whoa 802.11ax and 2.4 question mark. There's my 802.11ax, and you can see the technology, the PHY type has been detected as an 802.11ax, and you can even see the data rates that it's capable of there.
Jerry, I'm super confused. How did you get an 802.11ax AP? What? I don't understand.
So my 802.11ax AP is a fake AX AP where I'm crafting, or we'll say forging, some 802.11ax beacons. You lied to us, Jerry.
Hacker man.
You lied.
We're lying to the the Sidekick and Ekahau, I guess. I mean, they're real beacons. They're real 802.11ax beacons. The benefit, like we said, is these beacons are sent out to be backwards compatible, so any other devices in the range will be able to decode those frames and know when an 802.11ax client is talking. So because of that, I can actually transmit those beacon frames using a non-802.11ax radio, just like we can receive those beacons on a non-802.11ax survey device.
Well, there you go. But Jerry, did Batman ever lie to Robin? I don't know if you should lie to your sidekick, man.
You know, I feel bad about it, but if somebody wants to send me some AXAPs, I'd be happy to use those instead of making my own AXAPs.
Yeah, same here.
I have a
Cool.
feeling you're not going to be getting any love from Cisco.
Not now. We ruined that.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to demo here, or should we move into Q&A?
I say we move into Q&A. I
Cool.
think the only other thing that we could do is just show on the planning side. I mentioned APs, AXAPs. Somebody in chat, what's a 802.11 AXAP that's out currently, or is at least hopefully shipping already, but been announced that we could check? All right, R730. Look at that. R730 for predictive, and we could drop one of those on a map. I don't really have this set up for prediction, but let's just pretend, and I'm going to drop a R730 simulated access point on here, and notice how it shows up as being 802.11ax, both those radios, the nice teal color there. Once this finishes updating here, I'll just select that AP, and we'll show the signal strength for that AP. So yeah, here's simulating an 802.11ax access point here. I'll zoom out a little bit so you can see that. Oop, not that far. Too much zooming out. But yeah, here you can see that's an 802.11ax access point that we're simulating. There you go. Simulated AP, Ruckus, ZoneFlex R730.
Very cool. Well, thanks for the rad demos, Jerry. I think we should probably kind of get into some Q&A here. We've got a lot of great questions here. I think probably would be a good idea to address some of these. So if you'd like to ask a question, a great way to do that is use the Q&A tool. You can also upvote other people's questions there. So if you see a question that you think is interesting, go ahead and upvote it there, and we'll spend probably the next 10 minutes or so. We'll take about 10 minutes to answer some questions before we shut the webinar down, and we let everybody get on with their day and the rest of their week.
Hey, Joel.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen a few questions in chat and several, not upvoted questions, but I've seen it pop up a few times in the Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
People are wondering about the upgrade path from ESS Pro to Ekahau 10 Pro.
Ooh, that's a great question.
Current customers.
Yep.
So, Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe if your support is current, if you have current support for Ekahau Site Survey 9, the upgrade to Ekahau Pro 10 will cost you $0. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, that's covered under your support and maintenance. So, that's one of the beauties of support and maintenance is any software updates, major or minor, will be included as part of your support and maintenance. So just make sure your support and maintenance is up to date. And when that release is available, you'll be able to jump on there.
What were we thinking? We could have charged money for that. We could have we could have charged them like, $1 million or something, and we didn't. Man, we gotta when we release Ekahau 11, we gotta rethink that maybe. But cool, yep, free upgrade. So yeah, I'm kind of combing through the Q&A here. Clayton, maybe if you want to comb through there as well. If you want to maybe kind of find the next one here, I'll look for a good first one here. Here I'm going to tackle a tough one first from Renee. Renee says, hello from Germany. I received my Sidekick last year, and I am very happy with this cool tool. Glad to hear that, Renee. My question is the Sidekick compatible with AX, or does it need a hardware upgrade? So the answer to that, Renee, is it is for performing passive site surveys. You're good to go. The Sidekick is 100% survey capable today. We just need to get the software release out to do the thing. But yes, it is.
I should even mention, even if you don't have the latest and greatest, version of Ekahau that has the AX decode capabilities in there, you can still survey an 802.11ax network as it stands today with your Sidekick. It will just show up as an AC network because that's that's really the only PHY type. That's the latest PHY type that's actually ratified and out there. AX is still even kind of on the horizon when it comes to that as far as being official.
Absolutely. Cool. Clayton, do you see one that you want to ask, or should I just grab another one?
No, I do. And this is an appropriate question for you, Mr. Technical Training Manager.
Oh, boy.
There are a couple of questions about training as far as the Sidekick is concerned? So what are our current training opportunities if you were to purchase Ekahau?
Great question. Excellent question. Okay, so let's start with free stuff first. I'm searching for a web browser very, very fast here. Let's see. On YouTube, there is basically like a 1 hour demo thing that I put together. This one right here. So I'm just going to throw a link to this in the chat. So this is basically like a 1 hour, like, hey, if you need to get up and running with Ekahau as fast as possible, this is like a free, easy, cheap way to do that. The next way to do that is if you want more, you can purchase from us what we call a quick start training. The quick start training it's about 3.5 hours of pre-recorded video content, and it is yours truly, literally from this camera angle, all that. And so 3.5 hours of just like in-depth training content. We go over basically all of the major features and functions in Ekahau and how to use them and how to perform wireless design and surveying and things like troubleshooting, things like that. Then the ultimate way, this is like the number one, the best way, is to take our ECSE, which is our Ekahau Certified Survey Engineer course. This course is put together by industry pro Keith Parsons. And he's got a small army of ECSE instructors that teach these classes for him around the world. They are the brightest minds in the industry. They're all engaging speakers. They're all just my favorite people ever. I strongly recommend taking the ECSE. There's no better way to become trained up on how to use Ekahau, but more importantly, how to perform great Wi-Fi design. It's really more of a Wi-Fi design class that just happens to use Ekahau than a here's how to use Ekahau class. So
yeah, that's the point I was going to make. I'm seeing a lot of really good comments about the ECSE in the chat. It's not 4 days of let's jam Ekahau down your throat. It's wireless fundamentals and concepts and how those just happen to apply to Ekahau.
Yep, absolutely. So cool. Did that answer the questions, Clayton? Because you kind of read them and I just kind of ran with it.
Yeah. I was just looking for training options, and I think you laid those out.
All right. Awesome. Cool. So let's see. Another question is using the Sidekick with an Android tablet or an iPad. Nothing to announce at this time, but keep an eye out on our website for updates for products and things like that. We have some very exciting things in store, but I don't think I can say a whole lot more. I don't think I can say a whole lot more about that right now. So. There is kind of another question to that effect a little bit further down from Jason here. He says, do you guys have tablets that you like to use for surveys? I'm using a Surface Pro, but it only supports 2 streams. Yes, Jason, we like to attach the Sidekick to a Surface Pro. I would like to get a Surface Pro. I want to buy one. I really do. So a question from Anders. This is a tough one. And Jerry, I might need your help on this one. This is not an easy one. Anders, you always ask the hard questions, but that's why we love you. I guess it all boils down to the future question of 6 gigahertz support on the Sidekick. So to kind of flesh out Anders' question a little bit here, the FCC is looking at opening up 6 gigahertz. There's possibility of 802.11ax working in 6 gigahertz. Chuck from Aruba, I cannot pronounce his last name. Chuck from Aruba gave an excellent talk at WLPC, the Wireless LAN Professionals Conference, about the future of 6 gigahertz and all the work that's going to take to get that opened up. If and when that happens, I'd say today the Sidekick does not support 6 gigahertz channels. It's not there. But Jim says Chuck hurt my brain. I agree with you, Jim. Chuck hurt my brain as well. When the time comes, we will cross that bridge. We will look at upgrade options and things like that. So just keep an eye out. We will stay as up to date as possible on trends in the industry and things like that for the Sidekick.
Yeah, it's definitely something that we're obviously paying close attention to, and
very close
to put in the R&D. Obviously, we try to stay on top of all the exciting changes going on in the Wi-Fi industry, and that's definitely one that we're keeping a close eye on to see from an R&D standpoint what investment we need to put into it if it becomes a reality.
Cool. Probably have time for just a couple more questions, so go in there and get your questions put in there, and we'll get some of those answered. A question that came in is, how do you compare OFDMA to full duplex? Ooh, that is a thought-provoking question. Does OFDMA mean full duplex? I'm going to say no. Because full duplex to me implies that we have two devices on the end of, let's bring it back to Ethernet for a minute. We have two devices on the end of an Ethernet cable, and they can both transmit at, I think, whenever they want. They don't have to, there's no waiting, there's no nothing. They can both transmit whenever they want, and the other end of that cable can receive whenever it wants. We still have to do coordination. We still have to do medium contention. We have to contend for access to the medium that is the channel with OFDMA. OFDMA just gives us the capability for an AP to transmit to multiple clients concurrently, or for multiple clients, hopefully multiple clients, to transmit back to an AP concurrently. They still have to coordinate. They still have to contend for airtime. Jerry, was that it? Is that a reasonable answer?
I like Nathan's response. He sent it just to the panelists, but I'll share it with the audience here. He says it is multiple one-way conversations occurring simultaneously. So it is not bidirectional, simultaneous bidirectional. It's all still one direction, but happening with multiple people multiple clients at the same time.
Yep, and I would agree with Nathan 100% on that. Nathan and I have developed courseware together, and he's a smart dude. So yeah, I'm going to say he's 100% accurate there.
Yep.
Cool. I don't know. Probably time for one more question. Clayton, have you spotted any questions in there that you want to go through?
Yeah, I like the one that's kind of at the top right here. So, are there any concerns with the Sidekick being against your body and at your waist while surveying, rather than holding it out in front as with a laptop?
Jerry, didn't George, our good friend George Stefanik, do a bunch of testing around that?
I know some people have. I don't know if it was George or not. I know Keith has done some stuff. But yeah, it comes down to, I actually think it makes more sense to have like a Sidekick. I know some people like to wear it more like on their back or on their side. I like it more on my side, at least, closer to my side, given the fact that it can now, if I'm walking up and down like a corridor, my body isn't directly, blocking that signal, either from the AP being behind me or in front of me. But yeah, I mean, I think it will have some slight impact on signal propagation, but you're going to get so many measurements with the Sidekick, given the number of antennas that are in the device, the number of radios, as well as the amount of samplings that you're going to get, that's going to offset any difference that you would see from the adapter side. So in my eyes, you're going to get more accurate results using the Sidekick because of those factors, regardless of, is it on your back, is it on your front, is it on your side, in the adapters being attached to the back of your laptop. All of those are going to have some type of, attenuation factor. Your body's always going to be in the path of that signal in some part of the survey.
Awesome. Yeah, I've heard several people say that they've tested this. I don't have any sources to cite here, but I've heard that this has been tested pretty extensively, and that there's really no data that says that there's any difference. So cool. Well, I think we're about 6 minutes past the hour here, so I think it's probably time to wrap this webinar up and let everybody get on with their day. Clayton, Jerry, thank you so much, guys, for being on this webinar. Much appreciated. It was so much fun to talk to you guys and to have a good conversation. Everybody in the chat, you guys are fantastic. Having you here to ask these questions and be involved via the chat, man, we just really enjoy this. Jerry and Clayton and I, and I'm sure UC feels the same. We look forward to these. Oh, look, we get a heart from Jerry. We look forward to these so much. Oh, Jason's like answers to the poll. Did we answer all the questions from the polls? I don't know if we did.
We did, yeah.
Did we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, did I not share the results of yeah, I think I shared them all, right?
Yeah, I should have gotten those. Jerry, maybe we can save those and post those on Twitter. Can we do that?
I'll take some screenshots of them. Yeah, let me see. I'm not sure how we can get them out of here, but yeah.
Just to be safe, we'll grab...
I'll grab some screenshots.
Yeah.
Last time I lost them, so yeah, it's a good call.
All right, awesome. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks again for being here. We will post this on the website here within 24 hours. Our awesome marketing team will be working on that as soon as we are finished here. Thank you so much for being here, and we will see you on a future Ekahau webinar. Bye now.